The book contains about 20 videos, and I'm actually recording this last, and it probably should have been the first video. It's probably the most important factor in affecting the development of TDR methodology, Justine, the justification thereof, and I call it, I had an epiphany. So now let me tell you this very personal story. The Orange Story, what the chapter is called, is a story that's in the example in the book, 1981 book, Getting to Yes. Now, I graduated high school in May of '81. I ended up at University of Kentucky, and I was actually taking a business class when Getting to Yes was written. And honestly, I don't remember the Orange Story, and I may be guilty of not reading it fully, as many of us do as students. I was then introduced to the book several other times in mediation training, sales training, and I'd heard the Orange Story. Two teenagers arguing over an orange, one piece of fruit. And by nature, and even our legal system, we all want to settle and we want to cut it in half. You know, that when we get into trying to find a settlement where there's a conflict or disagreement, we always say, well, just settle. Our original products in our company, Settle Now, Zip Settle, Resolve Now, I like that one. But the word settle, does anybody really want to settle? Everybody wants to win. And then there's this concept called win-win, right? And so this story, as simple as it is the best example of win-win, where both parties get more than they expected. One of my competitors, of which I have probably the most respect of any of my competitors, is a company called Smart Settle up in Canada. And the founder is a phenomenal guy and visionary. And he goes forward with the win-win. And I know this story affected his products and services. Approximately around 2010, I was in what's called Residential Institute at Nova Southeastern University when I was a graduate student. And there was a presenter. It's when we, twice a year, each semester, we go, everybody's mandatory to fly in, and we interact with each other because we did it online. And we have a time to spend about 3 to 4 days with each other, attend seminars about our classes, meet our individual classmates, talk about that particular class, but also speakers. And so somebody was telling the Orange Story, and she was fairly boring, to be honest. But it caused me to have an epiphany. And really, that book and that story, and Dr. Becker, and how he molded me, that maybe if I'd heard this, if I had not been molded and experienced and believed in the ADR, the alternative dispute resolution approach to resolving disputes with a true neutral, a powerful neutral, not attorneys in a mediation. The legal system has ruined mediation. But it's back to trying to split that orange. Well, why do we want to split it? Well, in this case, it was a great story. The boy, kind of sexist, a little bit older story. The boy wanted the fruit of the orange for himself. He didn't want to share it. Okay. The girl had read a recipe for an orange flavored cake, and it said it needed the zest from the orange peel. Both parties can get 100% of what they want. I remember reading, again, my competitor, Dr. Ernest Thiessen, and I don't want to misquote him, but this is my retention, that he said in his dissertation that if you use electronic negotiation versus face-to-face negotiation, you can get 16 to 20% more, each party, than what you likely would have settled for. Now that's key, what you likely would have settled for, okay? So it was real clear that the legal process of handling disputes doesn't really seek to discover things like the boy wanted the fruit, the girl wanted the peel, and both parties could get 100%. And take a third. I remember that day in the presentation, I go, oh my God, it's not only the story. What if there's 3 people in a dispute? And the third party wants the seeds. So he or she can plant oranges and get a lot of oranges. Okay? 3 people could get 100% of what they wanted in a conflict. Boy's not going to eat the seeds. Girl wants the peel. And that became the basis of TDR. Okay? Now, I was living in the marina on my boat. I had a 50-foot marine trader trawler. And after my kids and I became an empty nester, I went to live on the boat. And the guy that came onto the boat and flushed off the refuse, and he was always available to help tie up your boat, just dockhand and a little more. He was one of the most brilliant guys I ever met, really. Well beyond the typical deckmate, dockhand. So he heard me, everybody said, what do you do? Explain, I don't get what you do. I don't know. So I always use the orange story. So I'm telling the orange stories I just did. And he says to me, hey, come over here. And he had a beer in his hand. He says, do you know where I worked before I came here? And I said, no, where? And he said, Tropicana Orange Juice, which was in Bradenton, Kentucky, Florida, just down the street from me. And I said, oh, interesting. He goes, you obviously don't know a lot about oranges. And I said, well, no, it's not my area of expertise. And he says, well, your story could get a lot bigger and better and more robust and make a stronger point if you realize, where does Tropicana make its money? Orange juice? And he goes, of course, but that's only about 50 to 60% of our revenue. We sell pulp, we sell fragrance, we sell acid, we sell flavoring. It just went down a list. And I was like, oh my God, you could get a lot of people getting a lot out of one single orange. And so that became the basis of Justine. That became the basis of TDR methodology. It's the basis of our patent. It's how it works. The AI asks the parties what they want, why they want it, and what would they settle for. Both the party or the other party or parties don't see what the other party desires, but the AI does. And then the AI can go out and look at like settlements and suggest settlements based on their desires. The legal system will never get parties to that process. Maybe your attorney knows what you want, the other attorney knows what they want. Maybe in a long mediation and a private caucus, some stuff could come out. But by then, you're usually fairly deep in litigation. This is what makes our patent unique. So at Cognitive Resolution Solutions, this book is not about a product necessarily. It's using examples of the product, using examples of our company. But I will conclude this video is I'm trying to get the Harvard Negotiation Project, which is the base university where Dr. Fisher came up with the book Getting Yes and later editions and many other publications. And I want to build a dispute resolution game and teach people how the basis of this orange story can, and our technology, Cognitive Resolution Solutions Corp, what we do is we design, develop, and deploy dispute systems for anyone. But we can use our patent and our code and components of our code, license code components from others, and build a dispute resolution system. So thank you. I hope this makes everybody understand what I do. And thank you.